Hey guys, I was about to film this once and then all the doctors walked in, so now I can give you a more informed thing. But, so I thought we could have a little hospital coffee chat because I, never really actually explained what happened. I just posted a video about, hey, look, my seed sprouted, and oh, by the way, I'm here, and that was pretty much all I said. So I thought I could give you guys a little bit more information. I came in. I'd been struggling with my blood sugar. I didn't bring it up on vlogs. I don't even know if I vlogged that entire week. Well, I did. I vlogged about Thunder's Corner, which to date hasn't sold a single copy, so I'm hoping I sell one soon. But anyway, I vlogged about Thunder's Corner and like had been working on my book, but didn't really talk about health stuff. I don't always want to talk about it on the vlog. My channel isn't always about, chronic illness, so I didn't even bring it up. But for about a week, I'd been struggling with my blood sugar. When I say struggling, I mean struggling. Like it was dropping every hour to 2 hours, all the way until like between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And then I would get a little bit of sleep. I'd wake up at like 11 and eat at around like noon, and it'd start all over again. And it was just constant for like a week of that. So I was already considering coming in, but I was like trying to put off because I was just here in July, and I honestly, I've been in hospital so much, but I hate the hospital. And so I was trying to resolve it at home because this is going to get a little bit like TMI moment, so just bear with me here. I'm a girl. Girls have cycles, and one of those cycles is the luteal phase, and the luteal phase messes with my sugar like nobody's business. As soon as my period starts and I'm like tipping into ovulation, follicular phase, things seem to smooth out a little bit, but my luteal phase hates my guts as far as blood sugar is concerned, which is kind of ironic because my luteal phase is my best phase for my mental health, but I digress. So, I was like, I just got to get through this. And then I've had the really long luteal phase for some reason. Still in it, but I'm kind of like starting to tip the scale, I think. And so then on Saturday, it just reached a head where I couldn't anymore. I had been up till 6 a.m. that night. I woke up, I think around like 11:30 with it already trending low. I ate, knowing that in the morning my blood sugar tends to go low. So I ate, and then, I don't know, an hour, maybe 30 minutes later, it was already low. And this continued every 20 minutes. I would drink a juice, it would go low again. I would be like, okay, maybe not juice, I'll eat some gummies, it would go low again. I was like, okay, maybe nothing sugary at all, I'll drink some milk, it would go low again. I could not get it to stay up, period. I tried protein shakes. I ate like 5 quesadillas. I ate so much food and not just like liquid, fixing, and it just would not stay up longer than 20 minutes. So by about 5 o'clock that night, I was just done. As soon as my dad got off work, he brought me here, and I got taken pretty quickly because it was pretty empty. Excuse me, I haven't had my vest in 3 days. Basically, like, they monitored me for a minute, tried juice in the ER, which I already knew was not going to work, but, whatever. Kept dropping, and so then they hooked me up to the glucose drip and admitted me, and even once I started the glucose drip on Saturday, which probably 8-ish, it took an hour for it to go above 60, even on the glucose drip. So, obviously, at that point, I stayed. Sunday rolls around, and I was gonna say yesterday, no, it's Tuesday. Sunday rolls around, and I was still on the drip. They took the bag. It was 5% dextrose, and it was still dropping even on the drip. Like Sunday, I don't want to say morning, at like mid-morning, I ended up at 45. I'd eaten lunch, and it wasn't like super high carb. There was protein in there. And I dropped to 45, and while on the IV, came very close to needing glucagon, but I was like, let me try tablets or something, because glucagon, if you don't know, I took it back in March, and then I ended up here because of taking the glucagon. So was like, please just let me try something else. And thankfully that worked. Other side note, so like my arms, you can't really tell because of the sleeve, but like they're lateral, they're nice, the same size. Sunday morning, I woke up with my left arm, where the IV originally was, twice the size of my right arm, because apparently during the night, my IV had blown and nobody knew because I was asleep and it didn't hurt and for some reason. And, you know, I asked them to skip the 4 a.m. vitals because I just wanted to sleep. And so, yeah, that was a fun instance, but everything's back to normal now. I do need to gain weight, but you know, at least it's not twice the size of one. So anyway, so Sunday I continued to drop. I dropped to 45. Then like a couple hours later, I was 60 something. A couple hours after that, I was 60 something again. Like it was just still just horrible. Finally, around like evening time, it started to level out. They dropped the fluids from 100 to 50, and it started to just like not be so bad. It was still hovering like 75, 80, but it wasn't like below 70. And so I figured that, you know, maybe we're on the up and up. Stayed fine that whole night. Yesterday, I got disconnected from the fluids to give it a trial period. And basically where we're at is like if I'm sitting or standing, if I'm laying or sitting, like just resting, it's pretty much stable. I knock on wood because it is like 144 right now, and hopefully it doesn't like, but the trend has been that if I'm sitting or laying, it's pretty much stable. Like I brought my computer with me to keep busy, and I played Nancy Drew for like 2 hours last night, and it was fine. But if I get up, like from my bed, okay, so like from here to the bathroom and back, it went to 60, or not 60, 68. And then going from my bed to the chair right there, like you can see how short of a walk that is, okay? It went to 72. And yes, and then a little bit longer period of me getting up and changing, it went low again. So that's what I just discussed with the doctors. Like, I want to go home. I really want to go home. But is it okay for me to go home if it's like doing that? So the plan we have basically is to watch after lunch and breakfast, and potentially dinner. And if it is not doing that, then I can go home, which I really like to go home and actually get some actual sleep and some actual rest, because pro tip, you don't get rest in a hospital, okay? You just don't. And you know, if it is doing that, I'm not sure. They might keep me an extra day, but that's basically where we're at. So like crossing fingers for some stable sugars to go home today, and just like, you know, even the doctor said, like, even if you go home, don't do a lot, just, you know, basically orders to rest. But and then once I am discharged, because I've kept in contact with my my CF and my endocrine team at Tampa General, once I'm discharged, we will be getting a like endocrine appointment, a telehealth appointment to kind of figure things out, because like I've been on the diazoxide, started that in June, I think. Yes, because I was on it by the time Mariah was here. So I started that in June, and you know, it worked until about mid-July, and it stopped. And here we are in September, and this is I've had 1 hospital stay for cystic fibrosis this year, and 2 hospital stays for blood sugar. So, you know, like to figure that out. So anyway, that's what happened, just so you're not wondering, like, you know, she said her blood sugar, but she hasn't talked about anything but her seeds. Well, you know, the seeds were a little bit more exciting, but that's what happened. And yeah, I'm just gonna hope that it stays stable after lunch so I can go home. And, you know, if I have to rest, I'd rather rest where I'm not being poked with needles, interrupted with blood pressure, loud people, the hallways, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's what happened. And hopefully my next vlog will be me at home. If I go home today, I'll update you guys. If I don't, I'll update you tomorrow.